Every time. I order it so much, it's embarrassing, probably.
Yeah, it'd be better to call this directly.
I think so. That's what he's got to run against.
Yeah.
That's
Thursday morning?
Call to order this meeting for Monday, July 25th. Jordan, would you start us off with a roll call, please?
Please respond by stating present. Councilmember Ronayne.
present.
Foberg.
Present.
Liebelt.
Present.
Reif. Johnson.
Present.
Reinbold.
Present.
Langer.
Present.
Norvstrup.
Present.
Mayor Schoeneman.
Present. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business will be to approve this week's meeting's agenda. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Norvstrup and a second from Councilman Reinbold. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Where's that noise coming from?
Councilman
Oh.
Johnson's at the airport.
Got it. I knew that he was at the airport. I just wasn't seeing the thing. Glad you're here, Alan. Next, we've got the approval of the last week meeting from July 18th minutes. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes as printed in our packets?
I move we approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilwoman Liebelt and a second from Councilman Ronayne. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion does carry. No one has signed up for our open forum, so we'll move along to our consent calendar where we've got 6 items of city business, including setting bid dates, a few plats, lottery notice, and some reports and street use requests.
Move to approve. Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne and a second from Councilman Reinbold. Does anyone from the council have anything on any of these items? Then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Motion does carry. We'll move along to our new business. We've got a public hearing on petition to rezone and possible first reading of an ordinance labeled 220701, which rezones properties described as lots 1 and 2 of the Fessenden addition, which are located at 2403 and 2505, respectively, 8th Avenue Northeast, from an R2 district into a C2 district. Ken, what can you tell us about that?
The petitioner is requesting this petition to rezone in order to bring the property into a district that will allow for potential commercial development. Staff have reviewed this this petition and recommend approval.
Anyone?
Can I ask a question about the tree line there between the housing and the,
Councilwoman Folk, the floor is
Development.
yours.
what's that?
I said the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you just explain that tree line development or the tree line and what the expectation would be for keeping that buffer between the residential area and this new?
Sure. There are existing tree lines to the north of this property, or on the north side of this property. The potential developers have discussed those with the neighboring property owners to the north and have agreed to maintain those. If there is a concern for that, if it's not addressed here tonight, I'm sure the zoning board will require that they maintain the landscaping between the two properties.
Councilman Ronayne?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to follow up on that. How are they gonna, I would like to see it before we approve it here. I'd like to see how that's gonna be evidenced, whether that's gonna be evidenced with an easement or some other document, I'm reluctant to vote for this without seeing something concrete that tells me that is not going to be, if they enter into that today, and it's part of the agreement in terms of getting rezoning, we know how these things happen, and in a few years they get a chainsaw and they're gone.
If it makes the council more comfortable, Ron, it would be appropriate to apply a stipulation on the rezone as well as at the zoning board level?
Right, we have, we've had this conversation before on resolution, or I'm sorry, stipulations on these rezones. And this was one that I guess I wasn't aware of until tonight. And I don't know that it was really an issue because the mechanism by which there would be assurance would be the property owner for the rezone would have to apply for a special exception from the zoning board. It would be in that special exception that they could impose the stipulation, and therefore that does bind the use of that land for a commercial purpose.
Perpetually?
Yep, as long as that special exception remains in force, and that's the length of that use.
Okay, and how do we get there?
Through the order of the zoning board.
So we can approve this, we would approve the rezone today, and then later the rezone board is able to insert that as a stipulation?
The applicants
That
have
seems
submitted
backwards.
a request for August 11th to construct mini storage and commercial use on this property. So on August 11th, it could be stipulated. And then in addition to that, as part of any building on this property, plans would have to be submitted for review and approval by the forestry department to make sure it complies with their buffer requirements between residential and commercial.
I'm just reluctant to vote for rezoning without having that in place first. I appreciate what you're saying, Ron, but if it's only part of getting the building permit, then we've already rezoned it and the whole parcel is C2.
So Ron, is there language broad enough that we could muddle through here tonight? Do you think that would force such a requirement upon the applicant?
Let me examine that, I'm sorry, Mayor Schonman. As I look at the ordinance, we see this language here for the be it ordained as far as the zoning. There could be a stipulation placed between the be it ordained and be it further ordained at the end of the legal description, that it be a requirement that the property owner maintain the north edge shelter belt or tree line.
It's a possibility. The only thing I would be concerned with about is follow-up and enforcement of the maintenance of a living, shelter belt, for lack of better terms. I mean, it's 20 years down the road. If those trees all die out, is this going to be enforced to require replanting of a shelter belt that a new owner possibly had no? Whereas if it's a stipulation of the special exception, they could require, maintenance of existing or future landscaping that the city forester might come up with as part of the plan review and approval.
Ken, I hate to put you on the spot, but this is language that you're used to dealing with. What would be the language that you would propose as a stipulation?
Well, I don't think I've ever seen a rezone with a stipulation to maintain landscaping, but I guess if it was to be applied, it would simply state the landscaping must be. I'm not necessarily comfortable with the maintenance and longevity of that landscaping 20, 30 years down the road.
But that would fall under the purview of the forestry department here. I mean,
yeah,
those requirements are required to be kept up.
Yeah, as part of the building permit issuance, it would be required for maintenance of any landscaping.
So Ken, is there any way that this could be rezoned and then commercial properties be built without maintaining that?
No, because right now it's all bare land, so any construction on that lot's going to trigger a landscape requirement through forestry, and part of that ordinance requires continual maintenance.
But what about 50% of them? I mean, could they meet the stipulations of the commercial requirement strip half of those trees and still be within the guidelines?
I guess I couldn't speak to that. I don't know what exactly the forestry requirements are for the buffering.
Would we be screwing things up if we kick this down the road a week so that this can get sorted out? I don't want to screw up anybody's development plans, but
Well,
definitely.
it'll require 2 reads, and then you said that their meeting's on the 11th?
Yep. So I don't think it would necessarily hold up anything if it was the intent that this was going to be eventually approved. It wouldn't hold up anything as far as, plan review or permitting.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I guess I don't want to slow things down. I also want to make sure it's clear that I trust the landowner or the person who's asking for the rezoning, and that he's had good conversations with the residents in this area. And so I don't think there's anything wrong going on here in that sense. But I just want to make sure that that's protected. And so could we do something like a motion to approve with the recommendation that the zoning board put a stipulation on the building, on the construction?
Yeah,
Does that make sense? So that we can move forward? Because I also don't want to get into the weeds and micromanage the zoning board, but I just want to protect the landowners.
I guess all I would say is that kind of brings us back to the original concern was it's not binding at that point then.
Okay.
So if you were to postpone this for 1 week, that would take us to August 1st. The next meeting would be August 15th, which would be after the planning and zoning, or the zoning board of adjustment meeting. But that would be okay, wouldn't it? That would work.
It wouldn't hold up anything on our
And
end.
that would give us time to craft some language if you'd like to see that for the next meeting with that stipulation.
I move to postpone for 1 week.
I'd second that.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronan and a second from Councilman Reinbold to table this issue for the period of 1 week and bring it back up on the 1st, hopefully with some language that will be binding in that matter. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote on that tabling, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Thank you very much for commentary on that issue, and thank you, Ken, for your dialogue on that. We'll move along to our request to set a work session to review a proposed 2023 budget on August 8th at 5 p.m. City Manager Joe.
Yes, thank you. In my report later, I'll update you a little bit on the budget process. This is just part of it. We've done it this way the last few years. After it's initially presented, spend some time going through it.
Do you want a motion to create a?
Please.
I move that we have a work session at 5 o'clock that Monday.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronan and a second from Councilman Reinbold to hold a work session to discuss the 2023 budget as it stands currently. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. We'll move along to the recommendation to award the bid for the motor grader rentals for the 2022 and 23 snow removal season to Butler Machinery, as well as authorizing the city manager and finance officer to sign those documents. Robin.
Okay, we do this, we've been doing this every 5 years. What it's set up to do is allow us to rent as many blades, motor graders, as we need for the upcoming season. Much of that is dependent on how much we have in the fleet at the time. We have been purchasing some new motor graders. The old ones are still functioning. As long as they are still functioning, that will allow us to reduce the number of rental blades that we're getting per year. If one goes down, then we'll end up having to either repair that or then we rent another one as they are available. This year's bid, we only had one bid from Butler Machinery. We have been renting from them in the past. Their monthly cost for this particular bid is $2,350, and we also pay $77 per hour for the actual usage time that we put on during our snow removal events. If you take a look back, you'll see that this is 12% higher on both the monthly cost and the hourly cost over what we paid last year, which, considering how bids have gone, that is a reasonable escalation. They are also, as part of this bid, as you'll see, they are asking for a 4% escalation cost per year, so that they're not taking the chance that the bid prices continue to go really out of whack. So we are recommending approval. And one thing to note, you take a look at the bid tabulation. At the bottom it says escalating 3% for years 4 and 5. That is actually 4% for years 2 through 5. That was a note from how they did it on the previous bid from 5 years ago. So I apologize for that typo. Other than that, we recommend approval of the bid as it is for up to 6.
Move to approve.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne and a second from Councilman Norvstrup. Any questions for Robin on this bid? You did a good job explaining. I do believe. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Foberg.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Move along to our bills, where we've got the approval of the bill list for this week, July 25th. Can I get a motion to pay the bills?
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and a second from Councilman Ronayne. Jordan, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye.
Foberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Norvstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got our city manager's report with Joe. What can you tell us?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. One, to kind of catch everybody up, since we have some new council members on the budget process. As of now, I guess, giving away some secrets, we have a balanced budget proposal ready to go. Jordan's a little nervous that I just said that publicly, but I feel confident with it. He's done very well on his first one. We're working on finalizing some details and putting the budget books together. So next week, the first meeting of August, is the required budget message. Some of that will be in the packet, and then I will give a brief summary here. It won't be anything lengthy. I can assure you of that. Then the next week is where we do spend some time at length and get into the budget proposals. That's what that work session will be for. And then throughout the month of August, if we need to address some things, some questions you have, we'll do that. And then in September, we bring it back to ask for your final adoption. So that's how that will work. And I think we're moving along well. And then the employee recognitions for July, always a fun thing to do. We had 3. 2 folks had 5-year achievements. Brandon Smith in the utilities department, and Zach Swab started in solid waste. He moved this year to, it says solid waste, but he just moved to the streets department recently. So it started in meter, yeah. So he's been here 5 years, and he's on his 3rd division in public works. He's moving along quickly. And then we had one in 20 years, Tanner Johndale in the Aberdeen Police Department. So 3 folks, and we appreciate everyone, and we congratulate these folks on their achievement. That's all I have.
Thank you, Joe. And when do you anticipate to distribute those packets, those budget packets?
Oh, yes, that's next week. Yes, you will. So the budget books will be sitting in front of you. I'll point to some of that stuff, and then it gives you a week to roll through it. We'll show you some of the highlights that will help your prioritize your time a little bit better ahead of the work session.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you to Brandon, Zach, and Tanner for those milestones. I would take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilwoman Foberg and a second from Councilman Ronayne. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And opposed, nay. Motion does carry. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.